All right, guys, this is all you need to know about drifting in Gran Turismo 7. First off, you want to pick a curvy track. Straight tracks suck. I mean, you can hog bog down the straightaway all you want, but you want to pick a curvy track. They work the best for drifting, look the coolest. Next, you want to buy this car right here. Not necessarily use it as your permanent drift car, but as a point of reference to tune your drift cars. You ain't got to get on YouTube and look at guys punch in numbers. You got to zoom in your screen and see exactly what number they're punching. You ain't got to do all that. You know, just go right over here. And especially now that we can sell our cars in Gran Turismo, 400K shouldn't be hard to come up with. Buy this car right here. This is it. You don't got to touch nothing on this car other than the transmission settings. So you got the high output instead of the low end output. You want that traction brake. You want more acceleration, so the traction brakes on the car. The high output gives you more top end, or high output gives you more acceleration, less top end. Low output gives you higher top end, less acceleration. Other than that, this car is ready to go. Now, if you're wanting to like create your own drift car, what you do is you use this car as your point of reference. Under your car settings, right there. Every drift car you build, guys, use them settings that come on this car factory. It's already set to where you need it. It is your point of reference. You ain't gotta go on YouTube and look up anything. It's right here. Obviously, you want to use the Comfort soft tires. Your big thing is, like I said, your transmission. You want that set all the way down to 2.5, 0. So you got max acceleration and less top end. That'll give you your traction brake. Now, that's how you build your drift cars. You know, just use that drift car as your point of reference. Now, when it comes to making the car actually drift, you guys, you're gonna have to go into your settings. Right here, go to car settings. Detailed settings. We already discussed this. Drop that down all the way to the bottom. Next, I'm gonna go to your assist settings. Now this one is the biggie, guys. The traction control. You want that set all the way to 0. Now ABS, that's just personal preference. Me, it just depends on what kind of drifting I'm doing, whether I'm doing high-speed drifting or granny drifting, whether I want these ABSs on or off. When I'm high-speed drifting, I use the ABS. When I'm granny drifting on a tight course, I turn the ABS off. I like that lock. It helps me slide, gets into the corner, helps me with the traction brake a little bit more. Active steering. Active stability management, keep that off. Counter steering assistance guides, me, I keep it on strong when I'm running high horsepower cars, and I either put it on weak or off when I'm running low horsepower drift cars. They're a lot easier to control. Now, with the high horsepower drift cars, this is where you want to start off, guys. Like, I'm pretty good at this, but this helps me figure out these higher horsepower cars. Lower horsepower cars are easy to control. But them higher horsepower cars, they tend to get a little out of control. Just make sure you pick the right car. Now, the smaller the car, the better, you know, and as when it comes to drifting, guys, Japanese cars. Japanese Japanese cars is where you're going to get your good drift cars from. Your most consistent, best drift cars. I mean, you can try to do it with touring cars, but it doesn't work too well. You know, you could try it with a Corvette, but it really doesn't work all that well. Muscle cars work all right, but they're even still just too loose in the ass end, and they're just too big. You kind of want a smaller car. Makes more sense, especially when you're whipping this thing all over the place, especially on a skinny course. You don't want to be out there fucking hitting chicanes in a school bus. You know what I'm saying? So a smaller car is your best bet to drift tune. Mustang ain't too bad, but not as good as the Japanese drift cars. You know what I'm saying? So Asia Pacific is probably your best bet when building a drift car as opposed to any other car. I'm going to try with a couple of the AMGs and the BMWs. I'd like to make a BMW or a Mercedes drift car, see how well that works for me. But as of right now, you know, Asia Pacific, you know, that's your best bet for a drift car, guys. That's what you need to use, especially if you're just getting started. But to each their own. You know, I ain't no pro. I ain't been doing this forever, but it's super simple. You know, I watch a lot of videos, and guys like to overcomplicate this stuff, and it's really not that complicated, you guys. You know what I'm saying? Actually, what's probably the hardest part is memorizing the course. Familiarizing yourself with the course, with the drift car. That's actually harder than actually drifting. I mean, pretty much the car does all the work. You just do a little bit of steering and a couple brake taps. You know what I'm saying? It's not really that big a deal. But like I said, to each their own. Give it a try. If this works for you, fine. If not, whatever. You know what I mean? See for yourself. But it seems to work for me. And maybe it'll work for you. Super simple. Ain't gotta waste your time watching everybody tune a car. Just go buy this drift car, use that as your reference, and all your drift cars will work fine. I promise. Just as long as you got the right specs. Rear wheel drive, not a huge car. You know what I mean? Try not to go overboard on the horsepower. This BRZ drift car, 835 horsepower, it is a bit much, you know, but it is under control because the car is set up to do this. You know what I'm saying? So just keep in mind that every 1,000 horsepower car that you get is probably not going to work like this car does, even with the drift car settings, because that's not what they're meant for. Like touring cars, I tried to turn a touring car into a drift car, and it does not work. It just ended up spinning out, oversteering way too many times, even with assisted counter steering on. You know what I'm saying? So just do what works best for you guys. Play with it. Don't worry about being perfect. Get out there and just have fun with it. Rip it up. Go to the extreme. The only way you're going to get good at it is by smashing that car into a wall a couple times. Give it a try.